Hey guys, how you doing? I'm TJ.
I'm Queen.
And in this video, we'll be showing you how to make Nigerian beef stew.
If you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe so we can continue to show you cool videos like this.
Now, if you're new to Nigerian food, Nigerian beef stew is a staple item that's also very savory and goes well with rice, boiled yams, potatoes, and even bread.
And there's only 6 steps to this Nigerian beef stew recipe, so we hope you enjoy. So let's talk about fresh ingredients first. We have 2 red bell peppers, a tomato, preferably a Roma tomato, but we didn't have that, so we'll use this vine tomato and use about 3/4 of it. We also have red onion, white onion, and habanero peppers. And for dried ingredients or seasonings, we have vegetable oil. We're gonna be using this vegetable oil spray, curry, ginger, beef, as well as chicken bouillon, garlic powder, salt, thyme, and tomato paste, and bay leaves. Now, this is our secret ingredient, the spicity stew and jollof seasoning powder. This will really give your stew the extra flavor and seasoning that it needs to stand out and not taste boring. This seasoning is hard to find in stores, but it's available online at West African Spice. So we'll have all the information on where you can find this seasoning in the description box below.
Today.
So we have all of our ingredients and now it's time to cook the beef. Make sure you cook the beef first because you'll want to use the broth as a liquid for when you prepare the stew. So it's already been washed, and the cut of beef that we like to use, or that I like to use, is sirloin, while TJ prefers beef chuck or chuck beef. I think that's what they call it here in the US. Sirloin is much more tender and easier to chew for me, but it's a personal preference.
Let's add a little bit of salt, garlic powder, beef seasoning, curry powder.
Go ahead and add your seasoning to the beef while it's cooking. Cook it on about low to medium temperature, and you don't need to add any water to the beef while it's cooking. It'll create its own broth, and then if it's starting to burn, of course, add a little bit of water, but usually when I make this beef, you don't need to add any.
Let that hang out. So you see, we didn't add any extra water to the beef, but it's already created its own broth. And it smells so good, y'all. And now we've added our already chopped and washed vegetables to the blender. Try not to add any extra water. Our peppers came from the freezer, so they definitely already have a lot of water added in. And when you blend, make sure that you blend so that your consistency is very smooth. You don't want chunky vegetables in your stew while it's frying.
Cooking is all about practice. I was brand new to cooking Nigerian food less than a year ago, so if I can learn, so can you.
And now it's time to fry the beef. So we are frying the beef again to simply intensify the flavor and make it a bit crispy. So we typically like to fry the beef in the air fryer, but if you don't have an air fryer, you can simply broil the beef in the oven just for a few minutes until it's crispy. But don't burn it though.
Go ahead and add about a 1/2 inch of oil to your pot and let it heat up before adding your tomato paste first, letting that fry, and then adding your onions to saute.
So you see the stew is frying, and it can saute here for about 3 minutes. You'll know it's ready when it gets a little bit crispy. But make sure you fry all of the bitter tomato taste out of it. It's gonna start smelling really good. You see the bubble in that oil, then you pour your stew.
Now, something you didn't see was me pouring the broth from the beef into the blender and adding a little bit of water and kind of swirling that around the blender to get the extra stew out of the blender, and then pouring it into the pan. You know we don't like to waste over here. Now I'm adding the spicity stew and jollof seasoning that I purchased from West African Spice. I've cooked stew without this seasoning and kept trying to figure out why it didn't taste the same as restaurant food. So I'm telling y'all, this seasoning has flavor enhancers that elevate your meal. And what I really like is that you only need 1 or 2 packets. So today I'm just using 1. Layer up your seasonings and let the stew fry on medium. If your stew is too thick, add more water and keep the lid on so that the liquid and steam stay in the dish. If it's too watery, then remove the lid so that the water can evaporate. And you are going to fry the stew until you taste it and you don't taste any raw tomatoes, onions, or peppers. It's kind of like when you make homemade soup.
So you can see how red it is. Y'all see how red that stew is? That's how you know it's ready. And the good thing about stew is that you can taste it while you're cooking to make sure that the seasonings are right.
You'll know when your stew is finished because it will be deep red and the taste will be very savory and cohesive.
Y'all, this beef was so good, we ate most of it before adding it to the stew.
So now that the beef is done frying, we're gonna add the beef to the stew so that they can both fry together and the flavors can kind of mesh a little bit.
So we definitely should have bought more beef. Or actually, we could just have a vegetarian meal.
No, I'm good.
So I'm plating our stew. It's finally finished. And we'll be eating it with parboiled rice and broccoli.
All right, thank you so much for cooking with us today. Rice and stew is a staple Nigerian meal, and today we made beef Nigerian stew, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe and comment below if you have any questions. Also, the link to purchase jollof and stew seasoning from West African Spice is in the description bar. So, we'll see you later. Baby, come closer.
Yeah, this is good.
Let me see. Ooh, yeah, you're supposed to mix it up like that.
Want some?
Yep.
Come on, babe.
We'll taste it first. It's lit.
Get some.
Yes. That's wild stew. Very warm.